ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਇੱਕ ਖਾਸ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ ਨੂੰ। ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਖਾਸ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਗਤ ਟੈਲੀਵਿਜ਼ਨ ਸਟੂਡੀਓਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਨ ਸਟ੍ਰੀਮ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੌਜੂਦਾ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਹਨ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮਈ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਹਨ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਸੰਗਤ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੋਂ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਹਨ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਤੋਂ, ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਖਾਸ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਦਾ ਸਿਲਸਿਲਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਖਾਸ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਨ ਪੌਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਉੱਪਲ। ਪੌਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ
ਖਾਲਸਾ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। Thank you very much for sparing some time and coming to the show for Khaas Mulakaat. We welcome you on Sangat TV. Paul, we're going to talk in English and Punjabi because of views, some of them are. Is that okay with you?
ठीक है, Punjabi भी English भी
ठीक है जी। थोड़ी जी introduction आप जी दी background ना, कित्थों जन्म होया, किस तरह थोड़ा जा है।
Okay. Background is I'll start off in English, then we'll sort of do in Punjabi as well. My background is my family is from Kenya.
Okay.
Well, actually, like everybody, pehla sada family is from India. Utte kam shuru hunda hai, pehla kam utte shuru hunda hai.
Ji.
So sada Babaji, he went as a young man, he went from Punjab, went to Kenya.
Kenya. Okay.
Phir dodo mera dad and mera taji, ਉਸ time I think my dad was 8 years old.
Okay.
Mera taji, terraced, he was 13 at the time.
Okay.
He asked for them to come over to Kenya.
Okay.
And ਉਸ time I think times were hard. Okka times he said. We were living by Kisumu and then Kericho as well. Sada family is best at that time. And my Babaji at that time, he had to I think find some work elsewhere for a short time.
Okay.
So, though shorte si, my dad and my taji, I think they were looking after themselves. So, at the age of 13 and 8, two young boys having to survive, I think my taji had to leave school and find work to pay for my dad to put through education. So, obviously, those experiences, thoda family, you never forget those. Hard times, the kissy. But anyway, my Babaji then, he sort of helped them wherever he could, but then he went back to India. But I think my dad and my taji, they started their own electrical business at that time.
Okay.
Dad pe vilayat nu aaya 61 de vich.
61 he came to.
61.
Okay.
And my taji came shortly after that as well.
Okay ji.
And I was born in Smethwick.
Okay.
And they see katte rehndi si.
Right.
So my taji and my dad we katte rehndi si. So there were about 8 kids I think altogether. I see. Probably even more than that, I think. Koi bhi pata nahi lagda si. Bacche to bathere si. Hasa bhi batera si as time, you know, khushi other times si.
Chota kar si.
Chota kar si, chota terrace de vich. So isi katthe rehndi si. And obviously it was we didn't have much in terms of sada family, in terms of monetary value. But sada pyar hega si. Khushi other times si, you know, we used to love. And we used to play together, and everybody. We used to, modern day life, we would probably be classified as homeless because I think, ek kamra de beche si 4-5 jane si, you know, used to live there.
Yeah.
Now, le 71 de bech sadi mata, she came over.
Okay.
She came over, so she stayed with us as well.
Right.
And then all time, I think just after that, we moved over. This was a bit of a culture change for the family. We moved from Smethwick back in I think 71, 72. Then we moved to Northfield.
Okay.
Which at that time, apne bande bade cut si.
जी जी.
Utte Northfield. Haji bhi bade cut ya. But all time the balcony, you know. So and I remember when we going to school, it was a very difficult time. All time because there was a lot of racism at that time, so people would sort of say things to you. Why don't you go back home? I thought home for me was just 100 yards down the road. I didn't realize what they meant.
Yeah.
So then going to school at that time, I think for the first 2 or 3 years, they put me in a special class because sometimes I couldn't speak English.
Okay.
And then there was one teacher who particularly, he engaged with me, inspired me. His name was Mr. Breeden.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for Mr. Breeden, I don't think I'd be an MP. And now he changed my life so much.
Okay.
So he really inspired me, and then I sort of went on to another school as well, in Harborne Hill Comprehensive, just the studio the Nalia. But there were very few brown faces at that time.
Sure.
So it was a difficult time, but I managed to get out. Then I went to Matthew Bolton College,
Okay.
and then I studied politics at Warwick University because I did well in my exams.
Okay.
So, but I think always within the family, because we went through the Kenyan experience, Sada family that experience, all of our Asian families who came from Kenya, from Uganda, had a very tough time. All time that politics, it matters.
Sure.
It's very important.
Very.
In a country like Britain, it's very easy to take politics for granted.
Yeah.
We can vote when we can vote. We have a choice. We have freedom. We have opportunity. There's many parts of the world where people don't have that choice.
Definitely. Absolutely.
And even in India, the our gurus, they fought for the freedom to have Thode faith, to have the choice, to have education as well. We've always been champions as Sikhs in this sort of thing. So it taught me at a very young age that politics bahut zaruri cheez hai. It's a very fundamental aspect. And that's why I studied politics at university. I think Mera Taji, the Islam after I'd graduated, I think I spoke to him shortly and said, I'm interested in politics. What's your advice? And I think his advice was, if you're really serious, forget it. He said, go and live a real life.
Sure.
If you want to do that, afterwards, then go into politics.
Okay.
And Chunga Slasi, because I got married and had children, ran my own business as well, and I was lucky.
Sure.
Always in life, you generally find in life people put down to their skill and intelligence.
Yeah.
But upar Mahatma di galya.
Bilkul. Odi deen hai.
Absolutely. You need the good Lord to smile on you in some shape or form. So absolutely. So life has given me those opportunities, and then I thought I would go into politics after that because I'd been given such a chance and opportunity. And again, I was lucky.
Good. We'll come to politics a little bit later, I think. So we've spoken about your childhood years with your school-age education. You mentioned living together, bonding of the family, parents.
Yeah.
The society we live in nowadays, I think so we've distracted from that quite a lot out of way, to my opinion. What is your views about the roles of parents in one's life?
In life, it's very easy to criticize somebody.
Yeah.
But the teaching of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the fundamental teaching I take away is this, that you should never criticize anybody. We are Sikhs. We are born on this world. None of us is born perfect.
Sure.
But we are born. The concept of Sikh is to learn.
Yeah.
That is, you live your life and learn as much as you can. So what I'm saying now is not a criticism of anybody, but what I think our gurus always taught us was, don't criticize anyone, but live your life as an example, and then let other people follow you if they want to.
Sure.
So what I've been fortunate in my life is, I've been married for now nearly 24 years. We have 3 children, ages from 17 down to 7. And a big part of me going into politics was that my parents actually lived with us. At that time, sare ko 4 generations. I mentioned my Mataji when she first came over.
Okay.
She lived with us as well. So ek kar de vich, we had all this experience.
4 generations.
4 generations.
Living under one roof.
You don't just have the experience, you have the love and the affection and everything else that goes with that. Kathe tusi bende ha, kathe tusi bolde ha, kathe tusi hasde ha, kathe bhi kade tusi runde ha, but kathe tusi, you talk and you shared the good times, dukhi times and happy times as well. I remember when I got married in 91, when my wife first married into my family. she was really, oh, her auntie, she said, you know, this is amazing. It wasn't just our family. She goes, "Thode mamme and thode pua hone." There's no personal jealousy there. And I said, isn't every Sikh family like that? And she goes, then I got a bit more worldly wise when I saw other families as well.
Sure.
You know, the petty, sometimes the jealousy that we have, you see within families. And this is part of life. You know, you can't stop that, but that ultimately, thoda apna khushi is going to come inside you.
Sure.
Not by seeing the misfortune of somebody else.
I think so it's how you look as well, that whatever God is going to give you, He's going to give you. So one should always be happy for everyone else, because that is what he will get, because that's what is in his kismet by God.
That's true.
Nobody can change that.
One thing I've learned, Baji, I mean, people often think that happiness can be achieved through something else. A new car, a new house, having your kids better education than your neighbours or your own family or something like that. Happiness comes from inside you.
Yes.
That's one thing I may be wrong. I'm still learning.
It is very true.
You know, but
from the inner heart you get that feeling.
That's true. And I always say to people that what you're looking for, unless if you've got the happiness within your own heart, you're not going to find that through something else.
You can't buy happiness.
And I do come back to that fundamental point that the Sadhguru Gurus we are very lucky to be born as Sikhs. Whether we appreciate that or not, it's up to us to sort of take that on board. I just want another sort of thing that illustrates it. Normally, it wasn't just our family as every sort of fortnight or once a month, we would always meet at my bua's house because we're very close. And we'd eat roti pani together. And we'd always spend time with each other. And I'm jumping forward a bit, but when I got elected in 2010, I had less chance to do that because as a politician, I was always busy. So we always like to go on holiday as a family. And I said to my wife, "Where would you like to go?" She goes, "I want to go on a cruise." So this, 1 year. And anyway, we flew down to Barcelona, and we were going to get on this ship and everything. And although I was just getting on the gangway with my 3 kids and my wife, and there were about 40 of my cousins there. My mum, and all this, and they were sort of coming down. And they said, "Je tu jada busy ahon, koi nahi. If you can't spend time with us, we'll spend time with you." So even then,
they were on the same cruise.
They were on this. They'd booked the next door cabin rooms as well. So see, but for the children, it's lovely for them to live like that. And I think probably more important than my job as an MP is my job as a husband, and as a father, and as a son to my parents as well. And if you can do those jobs well, politics, people are going to criticize you whatever you do.
Sure.
But if you know in your own apan Daldavich that you're doing those other jobs well, I'm quite happy to meet my maker with a clear conscience.
Because the superpower is seeing it.
Absolutely, watching everything.
We don't have to prove it. It's being watched without fail, and you can't change that. Because what you do is a proven record, which is being written down for you, that no, you're doing your duty. You're doing what is required from you, as any parent expects his children just to take care of him. That's all the parents ask, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
nothing, isn't it, in this part of the world?
I mean, and I think we've almost lost our way a little bit. And again, I don't want to criticize, because that's all you can do. And some people may say, well, that you're fortunate to have that, and maybe I am fortunate. I'm blessed. I'm lucky. But sometimes I think what I've seen in my life is the wealthier people are, the further apart they are.
Sure.
When they were poor, it actually held them together. Now, I'm not saying that anybody wants to go through poverty.
No.
I've been through, my family's been through poor times as well. Nobody wants to go through that. But there is the warmth that you feel within a family and a community.
Sure.
And you go broader than that. My dad's a trustee at Guru Tegh Bahadur Gurdwara in Wolverhampton.
Sure.
You can feel the pyar and the love of people. Everybody knows me. They know my father. They know my wife. They know my children.
Yeah.
You're part of a family there.
Definitely.
And, no matter whether you've got a Mercedes parked outside or an Aston Martin, whatever it is, if you haven't got that pyar inside,
Sure.
वो मतलब क्या है?
बिल्कुल. Very valid point. Very valid point. Politics. You got into politics.
Yeah.
Who was the influence behind it that you wanted to be in politics?
Sometimes I wonder whether I'm suited to politics, because it is, if I'm honest with you, buddy, it is a bit of a dirty game, politics is.
It is.
It's a difficult game.
It's a very difficult game.
Very difficult
because
game.
you're in the public eye all the time, isn't
Public eye, and anybody can say anything about you.
Yeah.
Why did I initially sort of start going into politics? Well, I think there were two-stage process.
Sure.
But first thing was the family and sort of Kenya experience,
Right.
and the Ugandan Asian experience.
Yes. Can we elaborate on Uganda? Because
Okay.
thoda jo hote na, because viewers need to know what has gone through in our histories, where our elders, ancestors built the empires.
Well, the full history is, I mean, when we go back, particularly to I'll talk about the Kenyan Asians, and I'll talk about the Ugandan Asians. For those of us who came from Kenya, up until 1968, we were promised that we would always be British citizens.
Yeah.
That was a promise
That was
made.
promised,
What then happened at that time, I think it was Jim Callaghan was the Home Secretary. When they realized what was going on in Kenya, was the Asian businesses and the Asian people generally were made to feel very uncomfortable. You can't go into the details of it in particular, but like you had to have a partner who was an African, and there had to be certain restrictions and all this.
Shareholding.
Life was,
and all that.
absolutely. Life was made, you probably know this as well as me anyway. Life was made incredibly difficult. So then they started looking to come to the UK. And the drawbridge was almost pulled up for us. But then, slowly but surely, this sort of community started coming forward. And the seat I represent was actually the seat at that time where Enoch Powell was the MP.
All right.
Yeah, he was the MP in the seat that I represent. And there's many people who think that what happened in Kenya actually prompted him to make that Rivers of Blood speech.
Okay.
So when you look now, that story has come full circle.
Yeah.
That me, as a Kenyan Asian child, actually went to represent that seat as well. So I don't know whether... But then the same thing happened in Uganda, and overnight, people who had businesses, had and property and jobs, they were just... Everything was gone, and you had to get out. So they came to the UK and they started again. So what that experience taught me, and I think taught my family, was you can't take politics for granted. Jinne maji gore ho sadde.
Bilkul.
They'll say they'll represent us. Je apne bande utthe nahi.
Bilkul.
Politics se bech. Phir sara community, we haven't got a voice. We haven't got a presence.
Bilkul.
And that's one thing I've seen in politics. Because what I've seen in politics is that it's very easy for political parties to take a community for granted.
Sure. As a vote bank.
But here's the important point. That's not the politicians' kasoor. Or sadi kasoor.
Bilkul.
You know, that's our fault for sort of playing that game.
Yeah.
And sometimes I see that as well. I can see that, you'll have various groups who'll play a sycophantic game with politicians.
Sure.
But these politicians are not stupid.
Yeah.
They can see through that.
Yeah.
And they see those community leaders for what they are. And then that loses a value.
Oh, yeah.
So what we need is people who can come forward from our communities and talk about the issues that matter, that are relevant and resonate at that particular time.
Yeah.
And actually, it's sada faida kala nahi. It's for the indigenous community as well.
Sure.
Because we have such a gift that we can give. And actually, when you see, all the times I see people from a traditional English background, when they come and they spend time in a Gurdwara, they think, what a fantastic thing you have here.
Bilkul.
But you don't realize that.
Bilkul. What the other communities realize.
But the other communities do realize this.
Yeah.
What a tremendous... And it's important for us to talk about that and raise that, the profile of what we do, and the contribution we make as well.
Bilkul. And, if you look at the research all over the world, the Punjabi community is known for the hardest working community, most prosperous community because of their nature of work and becoming big. Badadil. Big business people as well, big contributors to the economy in the country. You know?
We have the lowest rate of prison population.
Sure. Yeah.
Our children go into higher education.
Yeah.
We have high employment rates.
Bilkul.
We do well in
We
society.
do very well in society, and we're very well respected for that as well.
We are. But Sada politics
Is
is our Achilles heel, or Sada weakness. Yeah.
I'll just share this with you. I love to see we sit and live in the UK. We're born and brought up in the UK, and ਅਸੀਂ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਬਾਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ. What's ਬਾਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ got to do? You live in England. ਜੇ ਬਾਦਲ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ criticize ਕਰਨਾ, then we rather be involved in the politics of Punjab.
Yeah.
We need to be involved here ਜਿੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ.
That's absolutely right.
ਸਾਡੇ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਇੱਥੇ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਇੱਥੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ. They need to be involved because we live in the land of law of United Kingdom.
ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਨਿਕਲ ਗਏ ਸੀ and Uganda ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, they didn't want us in India.
Yeah.
The only country, Vilayat, was the only country that wanted us.
And Paula, credit to this country, yourself, from a school child going to experience can become a member of parliament. That's the beauty of this country.
Absolutely.
No other country will let you happen. And this happened. This is no, you don't even qualify.
Yeah. They talk about the American dream.
Yeah.
But sometimes we should talk about the British dream as well.
Bilkul.
And actually, when you think about the British electorate as well,
Yeah.
they're fair as well.
They're very fair. Because
They'll see you on the measure of the person you are,
sure. Yes.
not the colour of your skin.
No.
I mean, I did speak earlier on when I was growing up in the 90s, and it was a very tough environment.
Yeah.
Even sometimes we would face racism from the teachers as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't let that stop me
Sure.
and make me think that that's it, I can't succeed.
Yeah.
If anything, it actually drove me on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show
I'm
them,
sure what I am. Yeah.
you know, that ambition and, you know, but the main thing is, without my family and the values that were instilled with me from a young age, or without that sort of environment, I probably wouldn't have succeeded.
Sure.
When I know, I mean, I'm an MP now, but I don't have to worry about my kids.
Yeah.
My family, my wife is there, she works as a lawyer, my mum and dad are there. The base is solid.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that base, could I be an MP? I'd find it very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very difficult to juggle both.
And that doesn't go for just politics, that goes for everything.
Everything.
You know.
Yeah.
If you want to succeed in business, whatever you want to see, to have that anchor, that foundation
Sure.
is absolutely
It's
crucial.
very, very important. That is the backbone of your success, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've been covering quite a few angles. Religion. You're born as Sikhs. Religion plays a very big part in your life because it teaches you the values of that. As you listen to a lot of these intellectuals, Mahapurukhs, they always preach. If you're a Sikh, be a good Sikh. If you're a Muslim, be a good Muslim. If you're a Hindu, be a good Hindu. Good Christian. Good. Your experience of religion in your life as a Sikh.
It is something that pervades your whole body, really. Now, I'm not Amreshak myself.
Sure. Yeah.
My wife comes from an Amreshak family.
Okay.
A big influence probably on my life was just after I got married, because my Punjabi wasn't very good after I got married.
Okay.
And my wife always says, she always says she taught me Punjabi. Okay. Primarily because when she was arguing with me, she would always argue with me in Punjabi. So I needed to learn, because obviously if she is upset with me, that's
you
important.
Don't know what she's saying.
Well, I've got to learn that. So I think my father-in-law was a big influence on me. And he actually used to, I think for a short time, there's a Tat called in Wolverhampton. He used to come there and he used to do seva there.
Okay.
And Dad would always spend time with me and talk to me, because at that time I was very young and very ambitious and all this sort of thing, even though I had my sort of... And I think Dad would always talk to me about, always take, not granted what you have, but appreciate what you have.
Sure.
Because that's an easy thing to do.
Bilkul.
And, you know, Dad's philosophy, I think, was very important to me. And I've seen that in my own family as well, you know, from my own parents. Always be humble. Always be modest in whatever you can do. If you criticize, don't worry. You don't have to criticize them.
Definitely.
That whatever's going to happen to them is going to happen to them.
Sure.
People will see through that anyway.
Yeah.
Do the best you can.
Sure.
Don't shortchange anybody, and be true to yourself.
Sure.
And importantly within that, be a good father and a good husband and a good son.
Look.
So those are the aspects that have always sort of kept me sort of fairly centered. I remembered once I had a particular stressful time in politics, and I couldn't sleep, and I was tossing and turning, and this was on my mind and that was on my mind. And I remembered something, because my wife said to me, she goes, "Are you all right, dear? What's wrong?" And I said, "Of course, we always say there's nothing wrong. Because they're wrong. Whereas our women will always talk, which is much better actually, because then it makes it shared. Whereas we keep it inside.
Yeah.
So then she said to me, she goes, just, think of, something that will calm you down. And I remembered my father always saying to me, he said, whenever you're like that, Tusi Vaheguru Ji, Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. And so I just did this for about 10-15 minutes, just saying it. And you breathe well, and you get the peace, and you get the shanti.
Sure.
So even in a small way like that, Vaheguru can come into your life.
Sure.
Even if you may not believe this or you may not believe that.
Yeah.
But it gave me a peace of mind.
Sure.
And I slept really well that night. And the next day when I woke up on it, and I went through the whole day, actually, by the end of the day, I realized the thing that was bothering me wasn't that important.
Sure.
But all time the bitch, it comes in front of you and you think it's the most important thing.
Sure.
So what I think, answering your question in a very long-winded way,
sure.
what I think religion brings to you is it makes you realize what's important in life.
Yeah.
Simple thing is that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we get so wrapped up in the day-to-day. Somebody said this, somebody said that. In the end, does that really matter too much? You know whether you're a good person or a bad person. And the person who's saying something to you, you don't know what's going on in their life.
Sure.
They might have some dog sock in their life. So that's it. You just. So I think faith is vital for just keeping you balanced as a human being.
Sure. Yeah. And keeping you on track as well. That this is the way you need to be. Yeah. Politics, when we look at all the mainstream political parties in the United Kingdom, they all have this percentage of MPs they want as ladies representing.
Yeah.
Do they have the same criteria for the minority communities?
They would like to see minority communities coming forward.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the challenge of getting the right people to come forward as well, if you want me to be honest with you, buddy.
Sure.
And that's what's the motive for them coming into politics.
Okay.
If your motive to come into politics is, I'm going to be the MP and, that this is who I am, very much like the Indian politics we've seen, then I'd advise you don't come into this game.
Sure.
Because people will see through you.
Yeah.
Je tusi seva karna hai, and you want to put something back into the community.
Sure.
Then get involved.
Yeah.
Don't look at this. Sometimes I've had some people come to me, can you make a lot of money in politics? In Britain,
no.
If you want to make money, don't go into politics. It's not that kind of game.
Transfer to India.
Go to India. But it'll only eat you anyway.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's my advice anyway. So it is, you've got to be for me, it was, this country's been great to me.
Sure.
It's been great to my family.
Definitely.
I think it's been good to our Sadi community actually.
Very, very good.
Very good for us. I feel that we have a gift we can give back.
Sure, definitely.
Now, Jinnah Chad mai kar sakta, and while Paramatma has given me the opportunity to do this,
sure,
I'll do that. Might be 1 year, 2 years, 3, who knows?
Yes, yeah.
But that's okay. I've been given that chance.
Sure.
So I feel that's incumbent on me to do that. So what I would say to a lot of youngsters who are possibly thinking about getting involved in politics,
in a political career,
if you feel you've got those values, Bishak, whatever political party you want to get involved with.
That's your choice.
That's your choice. Yeah. Because what I find is politicians, be they Conservative or Labour, they're not that different as people.
No.
They want to achieve the right things.
Yeah.
They're just different on how they want to achieve it.
They have the different policies.
Different route on how to do it.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
But then, the politicians whose motives are good, they get seen. They get recognised.
Sure.
If you're going to come through some ego or hankar, that's not going to make you happy.
Sure.
And B, it'll actually be very counterproductive to you. because that will show.
Yeah, sure.
It'll show through in the end.
Definitely.
Politics is one thing. It is a big magnifying glass. And as I say, I come back to this fundamental point. Politicians are not stupid. They meet people all the time.
Yeah.
And they can see you, what your motive is.
Yeah.
You know, the community leaders sade more on there.
Bilkul.
Those politicians, even on all sides,
Sure.
they can see the measure of those people
Sure.
easily.
Easily.
They won't say it to them,
Yeah.
but they can see where they're coming from. Tusi kida agenda promote karna? Thodi apni agenda or thodi community
agenda. Yeah.
Simple choice. And you know, that's I think those are the important things. And by doing that, we actually are offering a gift, as I say, back to the host community as well.
Sure, definitely.
We're offering, and there are so many people I see today. Number one thing I've seen in my 5 years as an MP is a number of people who come forward who are lonely.
Yeah.
Paisa hai but that's the problem.
That's the problem.
And so you know, when they, we have a community feel and a community aspect. I met somebody just the other day. He was a builder because my business was in construction, and he's from Afghanistan. And he comes sometimes and does work at various Gurudwaras. And he says, your community doesn't realize how lucky they are. And he's from Afghanistan.
Yes.
And he said, there's such a wonderful community spirit you have.
Bilkul.
We mustn't get to a point where we as a community are in the newspapers because koi committee aa lad there or they not lad there. They should be shanti in the Gurdwara.
Bilkul.
And that's what we are famous for.
Bilkul.
And that's what our future should be about.
Bilkul. And where I think so, everybody has an opinion that we go wrong. ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਕਾਦੀ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਗੱਦੀ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਕੰਮ they should not be seen ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਜੀ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਆ ਕਿਸੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਚਲ ਜਾਓ
ਸਾਡਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਟੀਚਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਹੀ the number one thing you have to watch for is ਹੰਕਾਰ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ego
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ
and but you know sometimes we seem I don't know I don't want to criticize but sometimes you look around and you think the number one focus of Sada Gurus is this Sada ego, you should be modest and you should be, you know. But anyway, that's...
But I think it's also one thing we forget, Paul Baji, that we look into any countries and you see the strongest man leaders in countries and suddenly when they pass away, the country still keeps on running. Somebody else is put in place within the next hour.
Absolutely.
The country doesn't stop. ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਹੀ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੁਕਣਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੁਕਣੀ ਜੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨੇ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰ ਚੱਲ ਜਾਣੇ ਨੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਚੱਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੱਢਦੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜੀ
The one thing I've always said to my children, they sometimes say, Dad, we're, this and this. And I said, but I promise you one thing. The sun will rise in the east tomorrow and it will set in the west.
Definitely.
It's been doing this for millions and billions of years and it will do it tomorrow. But when that goes back to that point thing, you think at the time, what you can pass on to your youngsters is, it seems so important at the time, but there is a bigger picture.
There's a bigger picture, definitely. How many Sikhs are standing from your party this year in the elections? Have you any idea?
Well, I know certainly one, but somebody I've encouraged in Wolverhampton is I've nurtured a young lad called Aaron Fote, who's standing in Birmingham Yardley. And also some other sort of people I'm encouraging our community to come forward. Because I go back to the fundamental point I said at the beginning, all you can do is live by example.
Yeah, sure.
And number one thing they can see, if he can do it, then I can do it. And, going back, one thing, I mean, I represent a seat of Wolverhampton. The one thing I like is going into schools and telling them the story I told about the teacher, Mr. Breeden, that I was a shy kid at the back.
Right.
The teachers thought I couldn't even speak English. It's if somebody is interested in you, that can sort of invoke a spark in you. And I hope by doing this TV program, there are others. I think we've probably got about 3 or 4 candidates who are standing. What we've got to do is get our community standing in winnable seats. And actually safe seats as well. But that's part of a process of going through that. And young Aaron, who's following me, he's standing in a seat where I stood in 2005. He's standing now this time.
That's good.
So he'll get experience as well. But sometimes one tip I would give is people will turn up and they'll think, okay, I want a seat just like that now. You have to earn your apprenticeship. And everything has a value.
Definitely.
You know, raising a child, you know, being a good husband, being a good wife, being a good son or being good has a value. The more you put in,
the more
you will get out of it.
Sure.
So you have to earn that as well.
Definitely. I think so. I was reading somewhere that our Prime Minister David Cameron visited India, and I think so. You were part of that.
Yes, I was lucky. I was fortunate enough. Paramatma gave me the opportunity to sort of, and I do get to speak to the Prime Minister. He went to Amrinder Sahib, obviously, and it's first serving British Prime Minister to go there.
Yeah, that's what I wanted for our viewers to know. The first serving British Prime Minister.
First serving British Prime Minister to go there.
Yeah.
And it was good to see our Prime Minister serving chapatis.
Right.
You know, going
from the side, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, sort of going there, working in the kitchen as well. And,
right.
And he said to me a couple of times that often when he has pressures on his own mind, one thing he did find was there was a sense of total peace there and spirituality amongst, you know, because the water is so beautiful. It's striking image against.
Yes. That's right.
You know, that he's often quoted that. So yes, he was the first serving British Prime Minister to go. And when I look back on my life, sometimes, you know, going there and talking to the PM before we went in, because there was a whole preparation there.
Sure.
And, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, there are some people who are advising him not to go for a security perspective. But ultimately the decision was his. I think the Queen he told me as well afterwards, and I spoke to Prince Charles about this as well.
Okay.
Once. I think the Queen spoke to him and she goes, "Don't worry, Prime Minister, you'll be fine. It's okay."
Because the Queen
had visited.
Yeah, when they...
Yeah. And so he, you know, but I didn't really need to sort of coax him much. You know, he went there and he knew he knew what to do, and he knew about Sikhism, which impressed me a great deal as well.
Sure.
Because he's no stranger to Gurdwaras in this country as well. He's a regular.
He's a regular. Definitely.
He's a regular visit, and he's often said to me the whole idea of you know, sort of a community spirit is one thing you see in a Gurdwara.
Yeah,
you see it.
Yeah,
big society. He always says you can see in a Gurdwara.
Yeah, and it's very nice. It's proud for the Sikhs when he's doing his trips to the Gurdwara. We feel very proud. You know, recently in Leamington Spa, I watched...
I think my dad was there as well. I couldn't go that day, but my dad went down.
And the Prime Minister was doing wailing rotia and in the kitchen.
He must be getting quite used to this now. I think when I'm pushing out the roti,
but it's a good thing for us Sikhs. I think so. It's very important that the Prime Minister considers to visit and take blessings from our Gurudwaras. And
it does.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we as a community, sanu pata nahi lagda what the other communities think of us.
Bilkul.
You know, we can be our own worst enemies sometimes.
Sure. Yes, and I think so. We are to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because other communities, you look at, as we were talking about this country, you go to any town we visit, beautiful Gurudware, Guru Maharaj di Bakshish, all over UK. एक तो एक स्थान बड़ी मालक की कृपा एंड जिस तरह गुरु महाराज ਦਾ ਦੇਖੋ ਹੋ ਵੀਰ ਪੈਦਾ ਲੰਗਰ ਹਰ ਸਥਾਨ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਕੇ ਲੰਗਰ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਨ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਐਂਡ ਹਾਊ ਮੈਨੀ Sikh temples in the UK up and down the country. You go to the northeast, I often go to South Shields. It's a very small town, and my colleagues say to me, "Oh, there's a Sikh temple in South Shields," and I was really shocked.
Yeah.
So, and this is the blessing of Guru Maharaj as well. When we look, ke Vaisakhi te all over the United Kingdom, ਸਾਡੇ ਨਗਰ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਨਿਕਲਦੇ ਨੇ, which is a blessing ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੰਟਰੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ facility available ਹੈ.
I think about 20 years ago, we went just before the children came along. We were in the Far East, and I think we were in Singapore, and we went out for a meal one evening. I think in the Raffles Hotel, you know, the very famous.
Sure.
But the next day, my wife said to me, she goes, "Duri, we got to we must go to the Gurdwara." And we weren't sure whether, but of course there was a Gurdwara in Singapore. And every place we went to in the Far East, we would always find a Gurdwara. So just to find that Sada Guru's teachings had touched so many parts of the world.
Yeah. And that heritage is such a big heritage for us. ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਵਿਰਸਾ ਇੰਨਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਦੇ ਬਦੌਲਤ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਤਾਂ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ, ਚਲੋ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਥਾਨ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਮੁਲਕਾਂ 'ਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓ, ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓ, and you see the sharda, how much, and when have Nagar Kirtans, look at how people have put their stalls and serving drinks, which is not in any community.
And Sada, it's open for everybody.
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone. This is a gift from our gurus to humanity.
Bilkul, bilkul.
If we don't deliver that, it's our fault.
Bilkul.
This is our fault if we fail to do this.
We don't show what we actually do.
Yeah.
We never show that. ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਅਖੰਡ ਪਾਠ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਲੰਗਰ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ। ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੱਖ ਧਰਮ ਹੀ ਐਸਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੇ ਗਰੀਬ ਤੇ ਅਮੀਰ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਫਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੰਗਰ 'ਚ ਉਹੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਸੇਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, which is a very rarity. ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ you look at other ਧਰਮਸ, the rich will not even touch the ਝੂਠੇ ਭਾਂਡੇ। ਸਾਡੇ ਤਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਏਡੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ, ਸਭ ਬਰਾਬਰ।
In a way, I've thought about this long and hard, and I always used to think to myself as an MP, how can I help with this message? And sort of, and one of the things that I've, so when I look back at my time, and I was thinking about it just the other day, because we had William Hague come to, the Sikh free school, which I've sort of championed in Wolverhampton.
That's in your
in my constituency.
Okay, right.
And there was some resistance there.
Yeah.
Even from Sadi Apni community.
Bilkul.
Tiasal, the community's been trying to get a school there. But then there's a vision, idda school hona chahida, udda school hona chahida. School the call sakta.
Bilkul. Kholo to sahi.
And then you can sort of talk about these things. And what made me really happy, we had William Hague come there the other day. And the majority of the children there are non-Sikhs.
Yeah.
And it's open to everybody. And there was first of all a teacher, but then a parent spoke to me and corroborated the story. And she's from Africa, she's Nigerian.
Okay.
And her child goes to the school, and she said, I have such trouble over these last few years getting my son to be interested in school. Had real problems, behavioural problems as well. She goes, since he's come to this school, she goes, even when he's on half term, he says, Mum, when am I going back to school? Just Sada Guru's message in that one simple story. If we're not touching communities, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? This is, and I go back from me, what it always struck with me is that teacher gave me an opportunity. So what we can do through a school is long after I'm gone, and this is what I said when I spoke there, is I don't need to tell that story about me and Mr. Breeden, because people can come to Nishkam Primary School in Wolverhampton and they can see it for themselves. But you're wearing the school uniforms, having manners, being polite. We can lead by example. Criticism da auna hai,
bilkul
jo marji auna hai, but you just lead by example.
And what you look at these institutes is you're establishing an institute with principles, which I think we have deviated from principles into a lot of things. Once you've got that in your blood from the basics when you're a growing child, then it's very hard to come out.
Yeah.
It's the key thing when you see the kids growing up in these schools, which your government has been very instrumental in.
We have been very, and I must admit, I will say this, the Prime Minister is very passionate about
it, yes.
And I know he will be visiting the school as well.
Yeah.
I know he will, because this we can actually, because the truth is, and I'll say this as a Conservative, the truth is that in my constituency, the people who are in the suburbs who are well off, they don't really need me.
They don't,
They can look after themselves. They can go on the internet. They can do that. The people who actually need conservatism more than anybody else is the poor people in the centre of the city. Their schooling is poor. Then there's litter on their streets. There's no sense of community pride. If we can combine our Sikh values with what I think is conservatism, self-help, those are the people who need it more than anything else. The wealthy people in the suburbs, to be true, they don't need that. That's my philosophy anyway.
there's a lot of key issues which people expect from politicians to see what they have to say from their end of the parties. That firstly, the economy. Now, what is your views on economy? Is it getting better for the country?
I'm going to sort of leave a lot of the manifesto stuff because people will get sick of it over the next few months.
Okay.
But what I would say to anybody who's watching this program, look at where the economy was and look at where it is now. And I would say this, there are a lot of countries who would love to have followed what we've done in Britain. Now, you could say this is an element of luck or this or that, but actually you need to have the right policies in place. But ultimately, the electorate will make their own decision. That's a decision of
the mandate of the country state.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Paul, we've touched quite a lot of things, I think, today, and I've got to keep an eye on the time as well.
Okay,
we're not running out of time. But your experience in this 5 years as being a parliamentarian from your constituency of Wolverhampton, what has that experience been, going to the Westminster, being part of the Westminster, and just share that, so then youngsters listening to that, or
look, I remember on the election night, somebody was talking to me, Joan Stevenson. She was a councillor in Wolverhampton. And she said, Paul, if you're elected, your life is going to change in so many different ways that you can't begin to understand. And she was right. It's the simple way I can answer that. I can't, in a 5-10 minute answer, give you the justice. And I remember the first day when I went down, and I'm quite relaxed as a person. When I was talking about sort of my family, I'm quite relaxed as a person. But I think when I left the station, and it was an early day in May, and I walked up to the bridge, and I remember walking onto Westminster Bridge, and the sun was just shining on the whole of Westminster. I felt really, really nervous, really sort of a sense of being very small. And at that point, when I walked across the bridge at that time, I thought to myself, this is the time to be true to yourself. And then I thought about the times when I was being a small child, and I said, if I could go through that, I'm sure I can handle this being an MP. But it does take time, and you have to learn the procedure, and you have to have the confidence to stand up in the chamber and speak publicly. But the truth of public speaking, the truth of being an MP, all comes back to this fundamental principle. Be true to yourself. First of all, decide who you are. What are you? Are you a product of your family, of your faith, of your community? And then never forget that. Because when you speak in public, people would disagree with you or agree with you. But one thing they will know is whether you're being honest to them. And is it coming from here? Or is it just a superficial thing? And that's why you've got to have that base. So I'll go back to Mataji's philosophy. He said, live a life first. Because then you've got something to say. There's nothing worse than a politician who has no life experience and has nothing to say. Because they can say the same thing as what the next person got to say, and this and that. So what I found is, although I've learnt a lot in these 5 years, the 40 years I had before that all led up to that. That provided the foundation and the base for it. And always the senior MPs are always very good. They always say, what you're going through at the moment, you think it is so important. But let me tell you, we've been here before and we've discussed these things. And it seems I know why you think it's a good idea, but actually, let me show you why it doesn't work. And when you go as an MP and you meet with senior MPs who've been around for 20, 30 years, it's nice to have that experience and that wisdom there.
It's a different league, isn't it?
We do, and we don't value experience and age and wisdom as much as we should. I think sometimes, Thoraja, we've fallen into this Western idea that, there's nothing wrong with being young. I was young once. Hopefully I still think I am. But you can't beat experience.
ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੀ ਕਹਾਵਤ ਸਿਆਣੇ ਦਾ ਗਿਆ ਔਲੇ ਦਾ ਖਾਦਾ ਬਾਅਦ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਸਿਆਣੇ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਸਿਆਣੀ experience of those many years they have big value.
But Magra, when you look back, then you realize.
Then you realize. Paul, from the bottom of our heart, thank you very much. बहुत दिल दिया गया रही जो आप जी का धन्यवाद कि you shared a lot of things with us. Hope our viewers have a lot to take, and we expect a lot of youngsters interested in politics to pursue this as a career and must be inspired with all what we've heard from Paul Uppal, the Member of Parliament from Wolverhampton. So we pray, ਅਸੀਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਹੋਰ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੋਲਿਟਿਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਧ ਚੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਫਲਤਾ ਬਖਸ਼ੇ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਸੇਵਾ ਜੋ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਮਾਰਗ ਤੇ ਤੁਰੇ ਹੋਏ ਹੋ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਧ ਕੇ ਕਰੋ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੇਨ ਸਟ੍ਰੀਮ ਪੋਲਿਟਿਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਉੱਚੇ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਜਾਓ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਤੁਰੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਜੇ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਆਵੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੌਲ ਉੱਪਲ ਜੀ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਹੋਣ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੜਾ ਫਕਰ ਹੈ, ਬੜੇ ਮਾਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ। ਸੋ our prayers, well wishes are with you. Any last message before we?
I think if you are interested in politics, please come forward. Sure. You know, for our youngsters, it's sada bhi fayda hai, community bhi fayda hai. But it is a tough business. But we as Sikhs, we have a wonderful heritage from our gurus, and if anything, that will see us through anything in life.
Yeah.
So it is incumbent upon us to take that challenge if we wish.
Sure. ਆਓ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਲਈਏ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।